जय यशोदानन्दन जय व्रजजनरञ्जन जय व्रजजनरञ्जन जय यमुनातीरावनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय यमुनातीरावनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय यमुनातीरावनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधा माधव कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधा माधव कुञ्जबिहारी Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radhe जय राधा कालाचंजी राधा कालाचंजी राधे। जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, for those who have the shlokam on the phone or somewhere, chapter 2nd, text 23. Sattvam rajastama iti prakritir gunasteir. Let me repeat again, this is a little shloka in a different meter. So, Sattvam rajastama iti prakritir gunasteir yukta parapurusha eka ihasya dhatte tithadye hari virinchi hareti samghya श्रेयांसि तत्र कलो सत्वतनो नृणां स्युः। सत्वं रजस्तम इति प्रकृतेर्गुणास्तेर् युक्त परपुरुष एक इहास्य धत्ते स्थिताद्य हरिविरिञ्चि हरेति संज्ञा श्रेयांसि तत्र खलो सत्वतरोर्नृणां स्युः। Anyone can repeat? Sattvam rajastama iti prakritirgunaster yukta parapurusha eka ihasya dhatte इत्याद्य हरिविरिंचि हरेति संज्ञा श्रेयांसि तत्र खलो सत्वतनोर्नृणां स्युः। सत्वं रजस्तम इति प्रकृतेर्गुणास्तेर् युक्त परपुरुष एक ह्यहास्य धत्ते स्थित्याद्ये हरिविरिंचि हरेति संज्ञा श्रेयांसि तत्र खलो सत्वतनोर्नृणां स्युः। Sattvam rajastama iti prakritergunaster yukta parapurusha eka ihasya dhatte sthithyadye harivirinchi hareti samya श्रेयांसि तत्र खलो सत्त्वतनोर्नृणां स्युः सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति प्रकृतेर्गुणास्तेर् युक्ता परपुरुष एक इहास्य धत्ते हरेति संज्ञा सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति प्रकृतेर्गुणास्तेर् युक्ता परपुरुष एक इहास्य धत्ते इत्यादे हरिवरिंचि हरेति संज्ञा श्रेयांसि तत्र खलो सत्त्वतनोर्नृणां स्युः. Okay. Transliteration: Sattvam, goodness; Rajaha, passion; Tamaha, the darkness of ignorance; Iti, thus; Prakrite, of the material nature; Gunaha, qualities; Tai, by them; Yuktaha, associated with; Paraha, transcendental; Purushaha, personality; Ekaha, one; Yahasya, of this material world; Dhatte, accepts; Sthitadaye, for the matter of creation and maintenance and destruction; Hari, Vishnu, the personality of Godhead; Virinchi, Brahma; Hara, Lord Shiva; Iti, thus; Samgya, different features; Shreyamsi, ultimate benefit; Tatra, therein; Khalu, of course; Sattva, goodness; Tano, form; Nrinam, of the human being; Syu, derived. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Purport: that Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service, as explained above, is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and his plenary parts are Vishnu Tattva, or the Lordship of Godhead. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladeva. From Baladeva is Sankarshana. From Sankarshana is Narayana. From Narayana there is second Sankarshana. And from this Sankarshana the Vishnu Purusha avatars. The Vishnu, or the deity of quality of goodness in the material world, is the Purusha avatara known as Shirodakashai Vishnu or Paramatma. Brahma is the deity of Rajas, passion, and Shiva of ignorance. They are the three departmental heads of the three qualities of this material world. Creation is made possible by Brahma's quality of passion and his endeavor. It is maintained by the goodness of Vishnu And when it requires to be destroyed, Lord Shiva does it by the Tandava Nritya. The materialists and the foolish human beings worship Brahma and Shiva respectively. But the pure transcendentalists worship the form of goodness Vishnu in his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called living entities or Jivatma. Both the Jivas and the Godhead have their original spiritual forms. Jivas are sometimes subjected to the control of material nature, but the Vishnu forms are always controllers of this energy. When Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditional living souls who are under material energy. Such living beings appear in the material world with intentions of being lords, and thus they become entrapped by the three modes of nature. As such, the living entities have to change their material coverings for undergoing different terms of imprisonment. The prison house of this material world is created by Brahma under the instruction of personality of Godhead. And the conclusion of a kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Shiva. But as far as maintenance of the prison is concerned, it is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who wishes to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only. And if anyone has to continue prison life in this material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary relief from different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Varuna. No demigod, however, can release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material's existence. This can only be done by Vishnu. Therefore, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, as we can see in today's verse, this actually verse relates in Bhagavad Gita. We know the very important shloka. We say is Devi he esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mama eva e prapadyante mamemam eti tarantite. So Krishna says that this energy of mine consisting of three modes of material nature is very difficult to overcome, but only by those who have surrendered can be overcome. As we can see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has explained that Vishnu and Tattvas are plenary expansions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. People can surrender to Shiva and Brahma or other devatas for other material benefits. But as we know that moksham or going back to Sri Krishna's abode can only be attained by surrender, and surrender unalloyed by performing devotional service, which we say as Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So there is the spiritual energy which is absolutely transcendental, which has no tinge of any material benefit, Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas. And we as Jivatmas, we are here in the material universe as Tathastha energy, and in this material universe. As we know, this material universe is called Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. But as we also know, as in the purport, that Lord Sri Krishna always descends to protect us, to deliver us, as Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushtunatam. His promise is there to us, to always deliver us, actually. If we see in Ishopanishad, it says that Samvutim va vinasham cha yastat vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityam tritva sambhrutyatram asnute. One should know that Sri Krishna and his transcendental name form qualities and pastimes are all, as well as the temporary material creation, demigods, are all from him. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Nam Nam Akari Bauda Nija Sarva Shaktihi, that he infuses all. Krishna has infused every quality of his in the transcendental sound vibration. When we chant Krishna's name, when we chant the Maha Mantra, when we surrender to him, surrender or chanting should be done with meekness. Yes, as also Prabhupada said, sometimes we may want to pray to other devatas to get relief, but they cannot deliver us from this cycle of birth and death. Obviously, Hiranyakashipu also went to Lord Brahma and did penance. He said, I wanted to become immortal. But in the end, Brahma said, I myself have a life. What I can grant you? Immortality. So that's why he said. In fact, just to describe, if we see about how it is, that the current, as we say, in each kalpa, there are so many 4 billion, 3.2 million years, and we are actually in Vaivasvata Manvantara, and in the 28th Chatur Yuga, which has happened in this Kali Yuga. So out of that, you can say that in the 28th Kali Yuga of the Chatur Yuga, we are actually having this current cycle. So obviously, as in the Ishvara Upanishad, it is pointed out that when one knows this, he actually surpasses the death and ephemeral cosmic manifestations, and he enjoys eternal bliss. So all of this in Vishnu Puranam, it is said that Vishnu Shakti Paraproktaha Shretagnyaka Tatapara Avidya Karma Samagya Tritya Sakti Rishyate. So Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, possesses different energies, which is para and apara. The living entities, though belong to the superior energy, but we are not surrendered. So because of that, our contact with the material energy, we end up coming here, and we are here, and we are trapped here. So the superior energy as para is actually eternal, deathless, abode of the Lord. As Purusha Sukta says, Tripadasya Mritam Divi, 3 parts are there. Only 1/4 of the part of the energy is here to sustain this material universe. So how does a Jivatma like us, when we understand these modes of material nature and we are trapped, how we can actually surrender to him? One step is actually doing karma yoga. Yat karosi yadasnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat. So when we do every activity as a surrender to him, as a service to him, then the fruits of that result is for him and his enjoyment. Even chanting the holy name should be done for his enjoyment. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, is none other than Krishna himself. But he has established that what is the rasa or the taste which comes from just chanting Krishna's name. And we should aspire. Other Bhagavatas have also actually come to this state and made us realize that the real taste of service of chanting is actually surrender. Only when we surrender in a meek state. If we surrender, Hiranyaksha was also very puffed up. Hiranyakshipu also very puffed up. Knowledge actually is important in spiritual life. But knowledge should actually make one more humbler. And that is actually the real taste of devotional service or chanting Krishna's name actually. If we actually see the beauty in different avatarams actually, it is said that, we know that we say the 6 sangams are Anukulya Sankalpasya, Pratikulpa Varjanam, Karpanyam, Mahavishwasam, Goptrutva Varanam, and Atma Nikshepam. Atma Nikshepam is that which is called surrender. Surrender of complete oneself. Only when that happens, at that point that realization will come that our karma is almost extinguished and we are ready to go back. As I think I told in last week's class, that one cannot just say by 50% marks we can go back. Of course, it is between the Jivatma and Paramatma. But you cannot cheat and do shortcut to go back to Krishna's abode. But surrender to him will actually lead us there. So, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Sakti Hi. So we chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Of course, we chant Krishna, Rama is Ladini Shakti. Even in Rama Avataram, actually a nice slokam is said actually about how the name of Rama also comes actually. Sri Raghavam Dasarat Atmajam Aprameyam Sita Patim Rag Kulavanya Ratna Deepam Ajanubam Aravinda Dalayataksham Ramam Nischara Vinasaskaram Namami. So we prostrate towards Ramachandra, who is the son of Dasharatha and the husband of Sita Devi. He is the lamp or the Ratnam of Jyoti among the descendants of Raghukulam. So even Lord Rama has lotus eyes extending, and his arms are actually extending way down to his knees. And he is actually the Parakramam. He is the valor actually. So this luster, as we say, Raghuvamsha Pradinipa Tena Apratima Tejasa Raksha Gruha Gota Deepa Pratyadishta Iva Bhavan. So Lord Ramachandra's is incomparable luster is the light which actually shines Raghukulam, and his sacred body itself is made of these lamps in the, when he was born itself in the Gruham, what we call the birthing room, Prasava Gruham, actually this whole luster was already there. In fact, Lord Rama's complexion, Sri Rama's complexion is a deep blue emerald greenish kind of color. That is a beautiful color of Sri Rama. And actually when Lord Rama was going through Dandakaranya forests, all the sages actually saw him pass with, of course, when Rama has gone to Vanvas, he is not in his kingly attire as we see in many photos and drawings or depictions. Lord Rama is living pretty much like just a bow and arrow, very simple dress, no kind of any jewelry, kundalam, nothing like this. But when the sages saw him, actually they felt that they want to have him as their husband. Those sages in Dandakaranya were actually not ordinary personalities. They are actually far advanced. By only penance and prayashchittam and devotional service, they were in Treta Yuga, that their desire was to have Sri Rama as their husband. There is an understanding that there are different kinds of bhavams and relationships with personality of Godhead. But different jivatmas, based on their level of elevation, can associate with the Lord in the bhavam which naturally comes to them. So we can see the sages at Dandakaranya, they actually had this desire. Another Leela is Satyabhama. We know that obviously that when Krishna was there, Bhaumasura or Narakasura was a very tyrant person, and he had caused a lot of grievance to the people. Now Narakasura had a boon. He had a boon that actually he can only be slain if his mother or the permission is given from his mother. So indirectly the story goes that Bhuma Devi is actually the mother of Narakasura, and Satyabhama is incarnated as Bhuma Devi. So it so happens when Krishna was once in Dwaraka that Narada comes and actually he gives Parijata flowers. We see in today's world here Parijata is there in our earth. But this flower is actually from Indraloka. It is in Devalokam. So Narada comes and actually he gives these flowers, and naturally he gives to Krishna. Krishna doesn't need, he first gives it to Rukmani. So obviously when Satyabhama sees this, she gets little aggrieved that how come Rukmani is a favorite queen, Krishna didn't give me the flower. So he promised that he will deliver the flowers to Satyabhama. Now it so happened with this that the Devatas were also troubled by Narakasura. So obviously they requested, and Narakasura had caused havoc. He even came to Devalokam, and Suchi is the mother of Indra. He snatched the earrings of Indra's mother, and he took all this actually. So there was a lot of grievance. So Krishna decided time has come, and as we know, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya sa dushkrinatam. So obviously Krishna decided the time is to fight. So obviously Krishna did not go and take, he just went himself. He took Satyabhama along in Garuda. So Garuda is always, we know that he is the carrier of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And in any Vishnu Tattva is always present actually. So actually what happened is Garuda comes, he takes Satyabhama, he puts her on Garuda, and they both fly towards the capital of Narakasura. Obviously, the battle happens. There are 7 layers actually, 7 layers which Narakasura has created. And in each layer, there is also before that his general Mura is there. Krishna flows very easily, slays Mura and all these other people. And then eventually, what happens is Narakasura comes. The pastime goes is, of course, Krishna asks permission because indirectly Narakasura was the son of Uma Devi. So naturally, Satyabhama is present with him. When he gives permission, he slays Narakasura. So that, and of course, when Narakasura got slayed, it so happened that he asked a boon from Sri Krishna that may my slaying be celebrated across the world with at least that not my name be forgotten. So that's why we know which Diwali festival is celebrated. In Naraka Chaturdashi, Narakasura was slain that day. And one of the things is, the significance, people say we burst crackers, that is one thing. But one of the, is a deeper aspect of it, that some of the combinations of yantrams or other things which are present in the fortress around Narakasura, he had put Chakravyuha. So generally you will see in people who burst crackers during Diwali, there is this chakra and all we burst. So actually that is the significance actually. It is one of the weapons which Narakasura had deployed and how actually Krishna goes and annihilates it. Now the Leela so happened that of course we know Krishna slays Narakasura or Bhaumasura and he liberates them. He marries all the 16,100 women which are 16,000 women here Narakasura had, and he gets the earrings of Mother Suchi. Now so happens that Krishna takes Satyabhama along with the earrings and he goes to Indraloka. So, and Indraloka, naturally, they have come to deliver the earrings of Mother Suchi, Indra's mother. So there is a little bit of disrespect or ignorance shown by Indra's wife or his mother towards Satyabhama's arrival. Now obviously Krishna purposely had planned all this before to take him along for Narakasura's slaying and then also to take her to Indraloka. Why? Because he had given promise to Satyabhama that these flowers of Parijata I will give you. So, he went and then they delivered this. And then they stopped by Indra's garden and they saw this Parijata tree. Naturally, Krishna remembered his promise and he uprooted the tree. So obviously when the tree got uprooted, there is a big fight. Indra came because the heavenly residents also, they didn't want this tree to go. Naturally, we know everything is under his Krishna's possession. It's his. Now one can say, how is this possible? Indra is not ordinary. He was made to subject this. That is part of Leela. Indra also has consciousness. He is not an ordinary personality. It is part of the Leela. Sometimes Krishna engages with other devatas as part for his recreation. Actually, that is what Acharyas have explained. So the fight happens and finally Indra admits his folly and he agrees to give the tree to Satyabhama itself. So Krishna takes. So that's why today when we see Parijata tree here, it is not something which was here. It is actually, even it is said that Parijata was one of the tree which was originated when Samudra Manthan was done. There are many things which came actually during the Samudra Manthanam, when Kurma Avataram took place. So actually at that time this Parijata tree also came. So we can see how actually Krishna Paritranaya Sadhunam, to satisfy his words of his devotee, he also slays Bhaumasura, and of course in the end he also actually satisfies Satyabhama. Now many people have this question that there is a Leela, we know that there was a Leela where Rukmani comes, Satyabhama wanted to weigh him against the gold and she puts a leaf. See, one cannot, we as Bhagavat, I would say, when you say aspiring Bhagavatas, we have no right to judge Satyabhama or Rukmani. Krishna doesn't take us along with him on Garuda to slay, and Krishna doesn't bring Parijata tree. So many people think Satyabhama is low, she doesn't have consciousness. We don't have qualification to become Krishna's queen or consort. That is the first understanding. So that is a humility we should have when we hear these leelas and pastimes about Lord Sri Krishna or our Vishnu avatarams, that it is for us to realize, and he is using his Bhagavatas, who are stalwart devotees, to actually explain to us. That is how it is actually, Acharyas have explained. We should not take inspiration and say that we have become greater than them just because we chant 16 rounds or we say we surrendered. Sheer surrender is like Hanuman. We know that, for example, Hanuman surrender cannot be equated to anything normal persons can. So see Hanuman's humility. Valmiki actually wrote Ramayana. He wrote all the different kandams of Ayodhya. So, Ayodhya Kandam, Kishkinda Kandam, Aranya Kandam. He writes everything. The most important Kandam in Ramayana is Sundara Kandam, as we know. The Kandam where Hanuman goes to Lanka. He conveys the message to Sita. And actually he comes back to Rama. Actually, this is the most significant in Valmiki Ramayana. So Valmiki asked, and in fact even Anjaneya, we says Hanuman, Marutatulya Vegam, he has many different names. This one name even Hanuman did not know he himself had. Just like, you may have one name, your mother will call you a pet name, right? Yes or no? Sure. Every child has a pet name. Different names parents call. So Hanuman also didn't know this name. So what happened is, Valmiki said, I have named all this. This one Kandam, he said, I'm going to name it after you first. Anjaneya. No, he said, no, you cannot name my name. Because why? Hanuman is very humble. He doesn't want, I am just a servant, I don't want any credit actually to this. So Valmiki says that I will name it Sundara Kandam. Okay, Hanuman is very happy, he goes back. He goes back to his mother. Then his mother explains to him, no, how is that possible? In young age, all us people, we used to call you Sundara because we are you beautiful. Though his jaw was hit by the sun and all that stuff, but still Hanuman is very beautifully looking as a baby. Immediately Hanuman goes to Valmiki. He says, no, you cannot name Sundara because he didn't want any direct name of his associated with Lord Rama's or credit to go to him. But Valmiki said, it is too late. I have already named it, so I am not going to change. So actually, we see that Sundara Kandam is as it is. So if you see Aranya Kandam, Kishkinda, there are different, but this Sundara Kandam is the most beautiful. Why? Because it is the surrender that without Sita Devi and without Hanuman giving and finding, with being as a Dutam, how will have Rama known? And the most important task itself was actually given by Lord Rama to Hanuman. So we can see that the beauty of devotional service is that the stalwart Bhagavata will never want credit for himself. We can take example of Srila Prabhupada, we can take example of Madhvacharya, we can take example of many stalwart acharyas. Even Sabari, they don't want credit for themselves. They want to pass away the credit. Credit may come, just like we need sustenance in material world, we may want to do devotional service. But that being said, that is the end goal. So very nicely, Narada Muni has also described a wonderful verse in Sankalpa Suryodhana. He says, Adhara hita charu vamsa nala makutalambi mayura pinchamala harinila sila vibhanga nila pratibhi santu mam antima prayane. So Narada says, may the resplendent blue jyoti of Gopala, reminding one of this incomparable blue stone. Indranila is like a blue stone, deep blue stone. So he envisions Lord Sri Krishna actually like this deep blue hue, so beautiful, so deep. Like sometimes we see there is this crystal blue water and there is deep blue water. But the deep blue water is so enchanting. The more you look actually in beauty of Sri Krishna, one will get immersed more and more. Of course, one has to practice Cheto Darpana Marjanam. It is like we say mesmerized. Even when Lord Krishna was born in the womb, from the womb of Devaki, in the prison, actually even Devaki, of course, she is relishing the birth, Vasudeva is seeing, but seeing the baby only, they are actually mesmerized. They don't know how to react. That is called true devotional service. So Narada actually envisions that Sri Krishna is this new blue deep Indranila and peacock decorations. His dark black hair, not hair, and he always, as we know, Krishna always looks like a young youthful person. His hair, his curls, his divine flute. He prays that always my last moments always should be in my thoughts. This is how actually eventual stage of, we may be in material universe. There are three modes of material nature. We may be engrossed in our activities, we do karma yoga, but eventually we can see in these different leelas, either Hanuman, Sita Devi, either Narada or many other stalwart Bhagavatas, how that devotion to Sri Krishna, how surrender, how meditation in the holy name. As we know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he used to see Jagannath, he used to see as Tribhanga form of Krishna. This is how devotional service should come. Should be naturally flowing, overflowing actually. When actually it's like a latent heat, sometimes you put a fire, it will start burning automatically, more and more growing. Devotional service initially, Nam Nam Akura Akar Bahudas Nija Sarva Shakti, maybe to initially do Anukulva Varjanam, then Pratikulpa Varjanam. First is Anartha Nivritti is one state, but eventual surrender and beauty and relishment to his holy name will naturally come. It is not like someone has to say that when we wake up, we chant Krishna's name. When we wake up, the first thing when we open our eyes is to think about Bhagavan Sri Krishna. His lotus feet we should think. As Vallabhacharya said, right? Adharam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Pada Kamalam Nayanam. Everything is beautiful. In fact, his Abhaya Vastam, we see in different forms of his. Lord Sri Krishna is in Tribhanga. We see last week when I explained in Kanchipuram temple, Varadaraja Perumal, it is Abhaya Vastam. His hand is still like lotus. That is how beautiful it is. The lotus is soft, not because for color. It is actually to assure us Bhagavatas that he is always there to protect us. But the protection comes with how much surrender we have and how much we reciprocate towards him. So this is how we can see that Narada says that why the question comes with this shlokam is, why does one need to pray for Antima Smriti when Lord has said there is no need to ask? Because he wants love from us. He doesn't need anything else. This is how actually even Varaha Charama Shlokam, as I was explaining about this Leela Bhuma Devi, Varaha Dev, Bhumi Devi asks that you have given me, you have rescued me, but what about all the children who live in this Bhulokam? Then he says, Shushvate Sarire Satyonara Dhatu Samya Sthite Vishwarupam Chamamajam Ahamast Atastu Triyamatu Pashta Kasana Sanyam. That when someone remembers me even at the time of death, I will lovingly come them. But of course, we shouldn't think every time to be like Ajamila. Ajamila is an exception. That is an exceptional case. If people think that we can cheat Krishna, then that doesn't work like this. So we can see how Narada has explained the beauty of devotional, how beauty of Lord Krishna should be there. That when we wake up in the morning, when we sleep at night, our thoughts should always be like this. Nowadays, people want to naturally, it's right or wrong, people want to see in a WhatsApp which message came from which group. That should not be the case. It should actually be thinking about Lord Sri Krishna before you close your eyes and when you wake up. That should be the first thought. So I will end today's class. If any comments or any thoughts, I would be happy to take. Yes, Prabhuji. The mic if you can use, or you can use this.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice class, very detailed and thorough. I was wondering on this point, maybe if you could elaborate. Uh, it says that the demigods cannot free one from the cycle of birth and death. And I kind of had this impression that lots of Shaivites or different Mayavad schools, they do attain moksha in the sense of merging from Lord Shiva or from their practices. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Sure. I mean, first of all, there is a little difference to understand, because to explain this, that of course Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita that worshipping demigods is indirectly worshipping him. Those who practice Shaivism or other devatas and adi devatas, they are still following Vedic philosophy. So one thing is important, we cannot look down upon them, because they are still part of Sanatana Dharma. In fact, we say impersonalist theory, which is Mayavad, then that we understand aspect. But of course, they may attain that, they may be in Brahma Jyoti, but they will not cross Viraja Nadi, which means they cannot go to Goloka Vaikuntham. That they will not. To cross Viraja Nadi, one has to surrender and be for devotional service. Because when you cross Viraja Nadi, it is explained that one, when takes a dip, after that only you get a spiritual body. Okay, that is how it is. This is explained very deeply, but I will just briefly say here. But there is a very important aspect, how the process takes place. But for those who are worshipping other devatas, they may get some benefits, but it does not mean those who worship other devatas, they are only become Mayavad. That is a misconception. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavam Mam Prapadyate. So, I may be worshipping today Sri Krishna, but at some point I may also have worshipped who knows how many countless lifetimes before. We didn't come from point A to point B. That is only, to explain that acharyas and other people came is different. They are not ordinary category. We should never, that's why I said, why I told example of Satyamama is because people think, oh, Satyamama is someone, oh, Rukmani put one tulsi, so Satyamama doesn't know devotional service. This is the example I used. Satyabhama is a queen and consort of Sri Krishna. Krishna used to have 16,100 wives. In every palace, he used to spend personal time with them. Personal time, including Satyabhama. So, that is a different example. But for those who are worshipping Adi Devatas, they are still worshipping Sanat in the part of Vedic tradition and custom. So, some may worship, for example, Lord Hanuman. Example, many people worship other devatas, but it does not mean that they are all impersonalists. They may be Shaivites, they may worship Lord Shiva, right? They may want to go to his abode, but eventually the point will come is that Satyam or Punya will take them to spiritual planets, and eventually Krishna will lead them to come to him. Actually, in fact, one should also not understand that impersonalists are doomed forever. Though yes, it is a kind of a spiritual suicide of merging. We say that Salokyam Samapyam. But if Lord Rama said that he can forgive Ravana, you understand? He said in the last moment that if Ravana also comes now, before I will forgive him. What about those people? Ravana did the most wrong thing of kidnapping someone's wife. Many people who worship other devatas, they are spiritually, they are vegetarians, they follow sattva. I'm just using example, those who do. If they don't do any wrong activity, you think Krishna will abandon them forever? No, right? So to think that they are doomed forever is actually a wrong thinking of us. Krishna doesn't say that in Bhagavad Gita, right? Because he says, Sarva dharma paritagya mamekam saranam vraja. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, everyone is entitled to come to his abode by chanting. So even impersonalists, if they chant and eventually they come with Vaishnava, they also become Bhagavatas. So to think that they are doomed forever is actually wrong even from Vaishnavistic standpoint of view. Because as a Vaishnava's definition is one who sees someone else's pain as us. Now we cannot go and force someone to change. That's a different category, right? Whether he is impersonalistic or he is following other religions or whatever could be there, right? Or even if he is atheist or agnostic, right? So what to say, if someone is atheist or agnostic is lower than someone who's impersonalist, right? Who is worshipping other devatas. So we are not encouraging that, but we have to be merciful towards them and pray that they eventually come to Sri Krishna's lotus feet. But it is never said in any shastra that they are doomed forever. That is counteractive from every shlokam of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or even Chaitanya. Doesn't matter. All philosophies, whether we say any Vaishnava Sampradayam or by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Bhagavatam, Upanishad, to say that one is doomed forever is not Vedic tradition or custom. So we have to be humble enough. We pray that eventually they come to Krishna's feet. Now, if I were to say how many devotees are, everyone is only praying for going back to his abode, no, na. Our devotional service is also tinged with material aspect. So that's why he said that before we look down upon someone else, we should first perfect ourselves. I mean, it's a good question, Prabhuji, I'm not saying. But yes, we should at least as a Jivatma, we should have respect for them. Those who may worship other devatas, it is maybe for material benefit. Those may worship Mayavada, eventually they may only go to the Brahmashoti aspect, they cannot cross Viraja Nadi. But from there, eventually they will come back and Krishna will put them, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he will make them born in a family of devotees or Brahmana, so they can pick up where they are from. It is never zero. To go there also, let me explain this in a very technical way. To go to Brahmajyoti also one needs some qualification. I don't think even I can go yet. I'm not saying I'm interested, but you get the logical point. To go to Brahmaloka also one has to do some penance. Not saying this is our goal, right? Our goal is to go to Sri Krishna's abode, right? That is the only goal for us, as Krishna says and what Bhagavad Gita says for us. But we should look, yes, they will eventually get a chance and they will go back to him. That should be our humble thinking. Thank you. Any other thoughts or points? Okay. I think we are good. So, Vandraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.